The pyramid is not a mausoleum at all. As we said last time, the pyramid is not a mausoleum at all, but a huge power station. This discovery is somewhat incredible. After all, ancient Egypt did not even have electricity. But in fact, it is all traceable. 1. Baghdad Battery in 1936 in the Baghdad area unearthed 3 small clay pots, containing copper tubes, iron rods, etc. Looks like a simple battery device. Scholars imitate it, pouring lemons, actually really produced electricity. This indicates that it was possible to use cables as early as 2000 years ago. Secondly, structurally, the pyramid uses a large amount of granite, with good electrical conductivity inside, plus the built-in copper cables, making it look like a simple power station. So, how exactly does the pyramid generate electricity? 3. River water. People found that the pyramid is all built near the Nile River. The limestone outside the tower will absorb some river water, and the river water, because of gravity and fall, so back and forth friction extrusion of the internal quartz, to achieve the effect of power generation. Powerful electric currents converge to the top of the Golden Tower, emitting intense white light. But what exactly did the ancient Egyptians want to do with it?
What if the real reason they're not teaching you about the pyramids is because it would collapse the economy? Just follow me with this one. There are pyramids all around the world, some we don't even know about. The one thing they all have in common is that they display underground tunnels. Taught that they are burial places and monuments to the pharaohs, but no evidence of tombs have been found. But they did find that ancient cultures had knowledge of electricity, like the dendrolite and the Baghdad Battery. They teach you this because they don't want you to know that the pyramids were actually power plants. They supplied free energy and healing frequencies to the planet through vibration. The Great Pyramid of Giza is lined with granite. Granite is filled with quartz crystal, which can produce an electrical reaction. It's also noted that gold used to cap the pyramid. The gold provided a path for the electricity to shoot into the ionosphere. Nikola Tesla knew about this and successfully built his Wardenclyffe Tower according to the laws of the pyramid. He wanted to provide free energy to the world, but his financial backer JP Morgan backed out of it because free energy would have left him in the oil industry bankrupt.
To Buffalo for the fair. No one's really explained how he actually did that. And at the middle of the fair is a 395-foot-high electrical tower, on top of which, of course, is a female golden statue called the Goddess of Light. And this thing was lit up by, some suggest, 500,000 electric light bulbs. Again, when you look at the photos of this thing, it's just, where do they really get the power from?
I mean, think of what it would take today if you had a place with no electricity and no way to pipe it in. The generators that would have to be built.
For example, there's a building that went up for the Barcelona exposition in 1888. It was claimed to be the fastest built building in the world. 5,000 square meters, capacity for 2,000 guests, 600 rooms, 30 apartments, and it was supposed to be built in 53 days. This is supposed to be a time of horse and buggy. The 2-year building times are actually impossible unless the two most likely theories would be either A, they had a technology that they're not supposed to have, and it really was built in that time frame. Even if they built them, they had to build them out of marble and stone in record time. Or the buildings were already there. They'd been there for hundreds or thousands of years, fixed up, refurbished, repainted, hence the term whitewashed, which is the term that was used for the Chicago Exposition, which was paint all the buildings with this brand new spray paint that they had just developed to spray paint all the buildings in record time, so you couldn't tell if anything was old or anything was new.
How long did these things tend to stay open? When they built these things, supposedly over 2 years, which is the narrative, how long were they there for?
About 6 months.
6 months for the public to come.
And then what was amazing, for example, in St. Louis, 2 days after the fair ended, they brought in a demolition team from Chicago with explosives and blew the thing up. They actually used dynamite to blow it up, and they say threw it in landfills. Things like the World Fairs shows there was a time in our past, and even not that far in our past, where humans seemed to be at a completely higher level. Human living and human knowledge were constructed into the buildings using cymatics, using sacred geometry. These fairs, they're so important to study because the history that we know right now as history was invented at the time these fairs were going on. One of their underlying nefarious purposes was to teach a historical narrative to the population that they were supposed to believe and agree with. And scarily, the world we're walking into today is in some way has its origins during the time of these fairs.
What happened in the 1200s, around about the time of the Awakening and the Renaissance, was they started these funds, these trust funds, and they made a deal with each other, these satanic families, that they would put their money together and go and conquer all these Tartarian pre-existing peaceful civilizations like America and put a new flag on there. It was just a corporate takeover. They didn't build all these massive ancient buildings in Los Angeles. They were already here. They've been here for thousands of years. Go downtown Los Angeles and New York and Utah, Salt Lake City and San Francisco. Those buildings were already there. They just co-opted them. Captain Cook went to Australia and put the Rothschild Windsor flag on British Union Jack flag on the Aboriginal land. But they were already in their buildings in Sydney and Melbourne. They were already there.
You're saying some of these buildings are thousands of years old.
Tartarian. They were from Tartar. From
Even
the Tartar.
California was Tartarian?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole world.
I hear that like it's a new thing in truth seeking is the lost kingdom or kingdoms of Tartaria.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's not that much information on, but there's a lot of old maps. And I thought it was mostly in Russia. No?
It comes from Russia, and just near Moscow to the east, you'll see modern day Tatar. It's the Tatar Empire, which is not legally in Russia, but physically in Russia. When the Bolsheviks from Wall Street destroyed Russia and killed 100 million Christians and set up the godless atheist Bolshevik Russian system, what they did was they destroyed the Tartarian
Empire.
Yes, they destroyed the last vestiges, and even in Germany, Dresden and all of that. That was Tartaria.
Is that why? Like I go, why is the international banking cabal, whether they're Jesuits or black nobility, whoever they are, why do they work so much with China, which is communism, but not with Russia, which is communism? And I think this goes back to what is that country that everybody brings up that they're the Rothschilds are?
Switzerland?
Khazarians,
Khazarians,
and this war between like Russia and Khazarians. But this sounds like that even precedes that, Tataria and all that stuff. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but that there's this old war between this black nobility group and this Tataria.
Yes.
And that's why they don't get along with so much with Russia, because it represents an old empire, which nobody wants them to talk about.
Exactly. They had to destroy America, Russia, and Germany. Why? Because they were just too advanced in Tartarian free energy, magnetism. Now we've got an electrical grid. Before, all of those turrets and tors and all those beautiful highly ornamented Edwardian and Georgian so-called buildings were harvesting magnetic energy. Right? So what they did was to enslave people, you've got to make them pay for their energy, for their food and everything. Before it was free. We had free energy, free food, everything was free. So what they did was they struck a deal with each other. Let's do this, right? So the Colonna family, they went westward, and the Genovese and the Venetians, they went eastward. They controlled Turkey all the way to China. They sent people like Marco Polo out and to do discovery and in all of those places. But what they did was controlled their ports. It was very important for them not to control the lands and everything. Like Rothschild said, I don't care who makes the laws, I want to control the purse strings, the money.